Hello and welcome back to Hobby Hangout with me, 40k Painter. So just to remind people, today we are going to be working on these. This is a Kill Team box set, the Vespid Stingwings. These have been put together and they've been primed already. So we're just going to be doing a few base layers on the whole set today. Now then, reason why I'm doing these is that I have a large Tau army, and the only way to get these at the moment, at least, is via the Kill Team. So you have to buy the Kill Team to include the Vespid Stingwings in your army. So let's start off discussing the colour scheme. So I've got several different colours I'm going to use. To begin with, though, just for the initial base layer, I'm going to be using a completely different paint color. So we're going with this. This is the Angron Red. Now, most of you will probably know who Angron is. Angron is a big demon prince thing. So we're going to use this as the base layer. And you might notice on this one that it says Air, Citadel Color Air. This is part of the airbrush range done by Citadel Color, and it's one of the reasons I've chosen this is because it is already diluted down for use in airbrushes. So I won't need to use any airbrush medium for this paint, and with the issues that we had on the last video where the brush kept clogging, seemed like a good idea, just to rule out a few things, that I use specifically made paint. So that's what we're going to do. So use it in just the same way though. So take the lid off and pour it directly in, and as you can see, this is far runnier than the other paints I was using. So fingers crossed, today will go just fine. Now I just need to put my glasses on when I figure out where I put them. There they are. And let's go. Oh, and the other thing I figured out, well, I remember, is that I need to put my air pressure slightly higher. I'm talking with people on the net and on here, they've recommended that I put my air pressure just a little bit higher. If I can get the thing to pop up. There. Okay, so I'm putting it up to 30, so only slightly higher, but we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, and here we go. The other advice I received was when doing this, it's a dual action trigger. When you pull your thumb down, it lets the air out. When you pull it back, it mixes the paint into the air, and that's what comes out. You should push the trigger forward again to stop the paint before you stop pushing down, because that helps to clear any paint out and stops any blockage accumulating. So that's what we're doing today. Let's see if that works. And so far we're getting a decent coverage. It is quite wet. It's a lot wetter than when I was painting with my mixture, so maybe that's a good thing. does seem to be flowing. Oops, let's just hold it in my hand. Does seem to be flowing a lot nicer. I'm not too worried about the accuracy of getting this onto the stones, or you can see it's standing on some kind of debris, maybe part of a broken building or something like that. I'm not too worried about getting paint on that, and I'm not too worried about getting paint on the ion blaster thing that he's holding, neutron blaster, whatever it's called, because that will all be fixed later. At the moment, I'm just hoping to get a nice bit of color on here to act as my base layer for later. And later I'm going to be using much brighter oranges. This will just give me some darker contrast into the shadows. I do seem to be running out of air again. Make sure we do have paint coming through. Bear with me. That's definitely better, giving it a bit of a brush clean. You can see the layers building up on this now. Quite nice. Making sure that I've got it into all of the areas that I need it to be in, on the feet, between the toes, the tail segments, and the stomach and the bottom of the mandibles. Okay. So I'm happy with that one, so that's one done. Let's move on to the next. So one thing I've noticed is it's very easy to spill paint out of the top of the cup. So I probably filled it too high, because it is dribbling a little bit as I move the airbrush around. So that's point to note for me for the future. Don't put quite as much in. I can see it is very wet on here. I'm surprised how much wetter the paint gets on here with this Citadel paint than it did with the mix that I used. So I guess I have my answer. I guess I was making my mix way too thick, and that's what was clogging the brush up. That would be the logical idea, I guess. Because at this range, this is doing really well. I'm getting great coverage, getting into all the areas, and yeah, I am very happy with how these are turning out, and this is much better. So I'm gonna put that one down. Actually, did I totally miss his hand? I totally missed his hand. And I was trying to avoid getting the rifle. So I guess I can't really do that. And yeah, I'll have to cover it out when I do the next layers. So my idea with these guys, it's a little bit nerdy maybe, but I'm going to do them all. Ultimately, the upper layers will be quite a bright orange. I was thinking, I've been umming and ahhing, because they remind me of Geonosians from Star Wars. I think these are very similar to some of those creatures, but I prefer to be the good guys. So I was actually thinking, you know, when you see the pilots in Star Wars, when the Rebel Alliance pilots, and they are either in their snowspeeders or their X-wings, they wear like a bright orange jumpsuit. Blew it out my hand then. Oh, maybe this is too strong. Well, these, I'm thinking, do their heads in white, and their bodies will be basically dark orange, covered then with bright orange. I make them look a little bit like the Rebel X-wing pilots. I think that's what I want to do with these. Make these a centerpiece unit, because these have some unique abilities, the uppy downy abilities, which are going to be fantastic when using them in battle. I've got all kinds of shenanigans planned for these guys for when I finally get to play them. Now these are only going to have base colors done, I think, by the time I do get to play them, because I'm going to be playing them on Friday evening, and today is Thursday. So we have to get these done today with no issues, please, Mr. Airbrush. Let's get these on. So I'm thinking a couple of layers of the base coat. It's a friendly match between one of my friends and I, where neither of us have actually physically played a game. We've been building up our armies, getting them painted. This is the last contingent of my Tau army. The rest of my Tau army is fully based and painted. This is the last contingent, and so we've set up a match. My friend who I'm playing against is going to be doing Night Lords, and he's working on painting his army and getting it up and ready. But we're not focused on how well painted they are. You know, we're not like in competitions. We're not worried about having them perfectly painted and ready to go, fully battle ready. We just want to get some base paints down, get them coloured up, and get them on the table, because at the end of the day, as much as we love, well, I love building the models and painting the models, the main reason for building them and doing this is getting to play them, right? He says, and then he plays his first game and realizes that he absolutely doesn't like playing the game and just wants to sit at home and build models. And there's nothing wrong with that. I guess, you know, you should do what you enjoy. play the game. You know, some people build models purely so that they can play the game. Some people love the painting aspect. Some people like the building aspect and don't like the others as much. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're having fun, that's really all that matters. So, another one done. Dum, dum, dum. Another one bites the dust. Yeah, I can't sing. I won't sing anymore. Sorry, I won't torture you. So this is just working so much better than it was using the proper air paint. So clearly I need to do work on understanding how to mix the paints. If you think I'm going to be jinxing myself here, but if you think that in the last painting session I had 3 or 4 blockages in the space of 20 minutes, requiring me to completely strip the airbrush down and completely clean it. And here we are on coming to the end of model number 5. Not a single blockage. So I think that tells me where the error was quite clearly, really. And I have to keep remembering and reminding myself to hold the model in front of the camera, because the camera is in an awkward position on my desk at the moment. I need to really get a taller camera, tripod stand thing. But I do primarily photography, and all of my tripods and stands and things are for my I've got a Canon 6D Mark II. It's a beautiful camera. A little bit old now, I guess, but it is a fantastic camera, and I would love to use it for this, but knowing my luck, I would spray paint it and ruin it. So that just simply isn't going to happen. So I'm learning how to use my phone as my video recording device for doing this, but yeah, it's a bit of a pain getting used to the angle and stuff. Maybe if I turn it a bit more that way, it'd be easier for me to keep it in the frame. That one's looking really good. So that's number 5, first coat. So as you can see, just 5 more to go. So let's do this one. And now that I've got this working again properly, this is a much more relaxed and enjoyable experience, shall we say. What's going on here? He says as he blocks the, yeah, I can see the block there. So let's give that clean. So I'm using the same stuff as before into a tissue on my desk. You can see there a big blob just came out. So let's get that all cleaned up. let's go back to painting. So let's make sure we've got all of the gunk out. Yep, and we got paint coming through again. Excellent. That is how this is supposed to be. Not fully stripping it every single time. So just a quick blast with a cleaning fluid. And in theory you should be done. So as I was saying, this is turning into a much nicer, much more relaxing experience than the last one was. And if you notice, then I was just checking the paint flow on my hand. This is one of the reasons why you will hear some people say wear gloves, right? Because look at my fingers, they're getting painted while I'm holding the model because I'm not wearing gloves. But it's just paint and it washes off. It's not toxic. It doesn't hurt you. Getting paint on your hands like this is no different from getting paint on your hands when you're painting normally with a paintbrush. So don't worry about that kind of thing. Especially when we're only doing a small amount. So 4 more of these left to do. I'm going to take a brief pause once I've done all 4. Make sure that my room is my space is fully ventilated. Have a cup of tea, because cups of tea are really important, and you don't want to have your cup of tea around your workspace, because chances are you'll end up painting your cup or getting paint in your cup and then drinking the paint, which is probably not good for you, even though the paint itself is non-toxic. So that's something to bear in mind. No food or drink around your workspace. The only other thing to remember, I guess, is if you're going to be airbrushing like this without gloves and you're getting it all over your hands, make sure to wash it off before you go back into the office, because I went into an office meeting with a few weeks ago with bright sparkly blue fingers, because I had been painting my blue horrors for my Age of Sigmar army, and I had sparkly blue paint with fairy dust all over my fingers like this. Unless, of course, you work for a painting company or you work for Warhammer Games Workshop, and there, of course, if you're a painter for them, they expect you to have paint on. Otherwise, you're not doing your job. And just a subtle hint there to Games Workshop. If you're looking for painters in the UK, I probably need a few years more experience yet, though, I would imagine, before I'm up to the standards of your painting. But yeah, this is really relaxing, really enjoyable, much more so than previously. I'm not entirely sure whether it's the pushing the trigger forward and then letting it come up is making much difference, or whether it is wholly down to the mixture of the paint being much wetter. Probably I would say the latter has made the biggest difference, and then who knows, maybe somewhere out there in YouTube land can tell me. And because I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, as per the others, if you do enjoy these videos, if they are providing you with any help, or even if it's just that you have help to offer me and suggestions to offer me, please pop them in the chat. Please follow and subscribe and hit the, I don't know what the notification bell is. Everyone keeps saying that in their videos. Hit the notification bell. I have no clue, but apparently it's important for the algorithm. So yeah, do that. I think it's what tells you when a new video is out, but I don't know how. But anyway, yeah. So if you're finding these useful, add a little follow. Let's try and get the number of followers up, because that will at least make me feel like I'm not being totally stupid and talking to myself. And what is actually surprising me quite a lot is, given how runny the paint is, I was expecting that we would run out of it really quickly, but we haven't. There's still plenty of paint. We're about 2/3 of the way through the paint that I put into the paint holder at the start of this. So that's pretty good, considering we're on model number 7. And I moved that away with the camera again, and nobody told me. I think maybe a little bit of a clock is building up, so let's give that a brush through again. My tissue over, because I want this spraying on the models. That over there is all out of the way. So I'm just literally blowing that into the end there. It should now, I don't know how visible this is, whether it's in focus. Yeah, so it's cleared off the little build-up that was starting to form. So let's go back, finish off the last bits of this guy. Oh, girl, could be a girl. I mean, it could be anything. Who knows? I mean, this is an entirely insectoid braid. Maybe they don't have male, female. But that's an entirely different kind of worms that I'm not going to get into. Pretty much finished now on this one. Just quick gander, there, that's done. Tails, I could do it a bit more maybe. Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's in the edge there. Yeah, let's move these more towards the back, I think, so that I've got a bit more room here at the front. Just these two left now. Let's do this little one first. And again, I'm trying to do the shorter blast that has been recommended to me. which helps to prevent the paint from building up on the nozzle. But not been as good at doing that this time, with all this multitasking malarkey, trying to remember to push the nozzle forward, the trigger forward, before I let go of it, all that kind of thing. Taxing my little brain. But it seems I'm very pleased with this. It's going really well. And you can see the colour is coming out really nicely. And you know, as I'm going along, we're getting really good coverage. Last one before we take a little mini break. And this one looks really cool. I think this is the boss one. Doesn't really matter. I don't think. I know people like to differentiate and have different colors for boss ones and stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm never going to, at my age, I'm never going to be playing in tournaments, or at least not proper tournaments. I'm never going to be competing. When, you know, people are starting the hobby at the age of sort of in their teens, and they're competing in their sort of 20s and 30s, they've got a decade, maybe more of experience, and I, by the time I've got that level of experience to be able to compete and understand all the different things in depth, you know, I'll be in my 70s, so it's unlikely that I will ever compete at that kind of level. But that's not what this is about. I'm not doing this to compete. I'm doing this because it's fun, and because I've got a couple of friends. There's quite a few of us now locally that are working on building our armies up, and just having friendly matches between ourselves in a local games club. And we are just literally looking to have fun, well, in the main, and take the mickey out of each other when we lose, because we are a little bit competitive. We've got to be a little bit competitive. But I mean, I'm the oldest, I think, of all of my friends that are involved in this. My kids have grown up and they have moved out, got places of their own. You know, and I find myself with a lot more time on my hands now than I used to have. So this is a perfect hobby for using up that time, doing something creative, doing something productive. Hopefully it's productive. Hopefully it will, at least, even if it's only how not to do things, it will help some people. So we are now almost done. I'm just checking for little bits here and there that I might have missed. Sorry, moving back to the camera again. But on the whole, I'm really pleased with how this first part of the session is turning out. I've really enjoyed it. So that is base coating on all 10 models. We're at 38 minutes with the airbrush. Let me just switch that off a second. So 38 minutes, base coating all of the models. That's the camera getting in the way of a light. That's annoying. And I'm very happy. A couple more coats on them and they will be ready. So I'm going to clean the airbrush and I'm going to go and have my cup of tea, and I will be back in just a few. So I have had my cup of tea and I've cleaned up. The first coats have fully dried by the looks of it, so we are ready to crack on. So let's turn this back on. For this layer of painting, so I'm not sure how well this comes out when I show it, but you can see the writing on there. So base, so at the moment we're on base, so I'm going to turn it to, we're going to go prime, that's free, so totally open. Step 1. So if you can see step 1 in there, look, there's also step 2 and step 3. But I'll go back to step 1 because this is going to restrict how much paint comes out. You'll notice as well, nice clean brush. There's no orange in it. So put the paint lid on. And this time I'm going to be using this yellow. This is a contrast paint, so it's not an air paint, but being contrast means that it is very runny, and it's Imperial Fist Yellow. So I am going to use a little bit of dilutant in here first of all, just to make it a little bit runnier. So let's bang some of that in there. That's enough. And then mix in some yellow. So you can see it's not quite as runny as the airbrush paint, but I've also decided to stop using the chopstick to mix these up. Probably not the best of ideas. Maybe that's what contributed to issues as well. So I'm just giving this mix a stir with a paintbrush. Maybe a little bit more of the medium. Time if I took the lid off. That does look much better. So with the yellow is going to be just to lighten up under the wings. It's going to, the idea is anyway, to lighten up under the wings and the abdomen, because most insects are lighter on the sort of the stomach area, and I've heard this being referred to as a zenithal layer, but only seen it being called that when someone's used white paint. So I don't know if that's the same, or whether that is only called that when it's a white paint. But either way, it's the same principle. So I'm going to start off, put my glasses on. in the eyes as well. And I'm just going to do little controlled sprays. Let me spray the medium through first of all, make sure there's no gunk. So we do have paint coming through. Oops. We have our first blockage. We can't be having a blockage already, surely. Let's turn this to free painting and let's see if we can blast. Okay, so we are getting a lot of yellow coming through on the free paint. As you can see, it's a lot of yellow coming through. Let's move that over there. So it's not a blockage. So maybe my expectations for the step one, I've just put it back to step one. No, we are getting yellow. I'm sure. Take a, yeah. Try step two. Nothing coming through. Okay, step three, we are seeing color. So I think it is related to that. So maybe I need to figure out what's going on with step one and step two and rewatch the videos again. But let's stick with stage three, I guess, step three, because we are getting color. You can see it hitting. Not a lot, but we are getting it come through. Into the corners. Got his abdominal section. I can see it is coming through, it's just very faint. Very faint indeed. Can see the very slight changing of color. He says, is it blasting again? Let's go to that one. Oh, definitely color coming through. This is without doubt the most confusing. So I can clearly see there, like, yellow coming through. So let's come back to there. And all I'm getting is bubbles in my cup. With no obvious paint flow. And there is that coming through? Yeah, there is. It's just very, very faint. Very faint. Okay. It's so faint that I can hardly see it. But it is there. You can see a difference in the darkness from the two areas. So maybe it's me being super impatient. Maybe it's me. I have to slow down and take a bit. Yeah, that's okay. Take a bit more time. Okay, let's just put that one down and see how it goes. So, bashing my camera, that's not a good start. So let's start with this wing. Okay, so there is definitely a yellow tint. When you compare the two wings, I don't know how well you can see them at the moment. Fine. If you compare the two wings, there's a definite yellow taint there that isn't there. So it's definitely working. I guess it's just really, really fine. And again, we're on step 1 on the collar. And if we look at that now, it's definitely more yellowy, which is what we want. So onto the tummy. And onto the abdomen. And remember, we don't need lots of this because this is just to give a subtle difference. And onto the head here, which is going to be a totally different colour when I finish. This is after all just a underlayer to lighten up and show the difference and the contrast between the top of the wings and the underside. So let's put that one by there because that one is fine. And I'm going to move these over a little so that we have some differentiation without killing all of my models before I even get them in play. Right. So, do this one. This one's going to be much easier because of the way the wings and the tummy is, much more accessible. Hopefully you guys can see this in the camera. This is a bit more of an awkward angle. So I would try and have my hands on either side of the camera for this part to make it easier to see. But again, a definite yellowing of those wings, giving us a bit of contrast to what's going on the back. I think we probably would need a couple of coats of the yellow, but we don't want it to be yellow. We just want it to be a lighter shade so that it stands out. So I'm doing the belly area now, the abdomen. And yeah, there is pink coming in. It's just hard to see. You start to see it now as I'm putting more and more on. So, yeah, note to self, stop being so impatient. Okay, so number 3, start piling these up at the back now, I think. 1, 2, let's bring these ones forward. So we leave those to dry. It's getting a bit full in my cupboard now, not much space. And this one seems to be drunk. Okay, so by default then, you're the next one, matey. So, let's get these wings done. Oh, that wing is going to be a bit more tricky. Hiding behind there. What if I chop the camera up? See a little bit more. Starting to see a nice little build up of yellow on that wing. It's definitely harder to target now. Okay, let's do this thing. Slowly building it up. See it starting to lighten. Not sure why it is not turned that in tight enough or something. Maybe that's why there's bubbles at the top. I don't know. Okay, let's try and get this abdomen done. I'm building up layers on all sides. Is it blocking? Keep thinking it's blocking because it's so hard to see. But I don't think it is. If I do Can't see any paint coming out now, so let's turn it up a little bit. So yeah, clearly there is paint coming out. We just don't want it coming out that fast when we are painting. So let's go back small. Small, patient. No rushing. Little blasts. Okay. You get in there. You. Oh, I'm gonna run out of room very quickly. Okay, you're next, Mr. Falling asleep on duty. These wings are going to be a bit easier. So let's get this done. You definitely see the build up of yellow on this wing slowly happening. Not as much as I would like, but it's definitely there. Yeah, you can definitely see it's becoming more and more yellow. Let's try and get this abdomen. Getting it in there. Good. Okay. I mean, they're not all going to have the same, exact same shading of colours anyway, because obviously they're all individual creatures. Will be born with different patterns and shades and things. So, all right, your turn, Mickey. So that's 5 done already. This is number 6. And see the yellow building up actually much quicker. I'm happier with that. Okay, let's get your belly. Your abdomen, we should say, for being correct about it. Now, one thing that I really enjoy about this, I can sit here without the video on, I can sit here for hours and just paint away, and it is just so cathartic. And when there's a lot going on in your mind, a lot of things that you're trying to process, then just sitting here doing this is just hang on, those are the ones I just did. I put it back in the pile that I just did. It's just really enjoyable. Yeah, so you're done, you can be next. Yeah, done some of you. Okay. You need to be done, because it's not... Okay. And just watching the paint going on and building up, and just drifting with your mind on all of the different problems and things that you have to face. It's just so cathartic and relaxing. So yeah, just making sure I'm not mixing them all up. That's not got any yellow on. Tail's got some yellow, but it needs more. That's got some yellow on. Let's do this big boy out of the way. I think one of the things that will really help me is having more light in here, because it's a little bit dark, and when you're putting a very light layer of a very light colour on, then sometimes it's a bit hard to see what's actually happening. But I can see that the yellow paint is going on, and I can see that it is making slight difference. So that's fine. Right, let's see. What have I done? Let's move all of these out. That one is done. This one is done. That one is done. That one is done. Stand up. That one is done. That one's done. 6. That one is not. That one is done. That one is not. That one is not. So 3 left to do. And then we'll take a breather. realize blocking the camera with my big paws. Okay, that one is done. Just these two left. Keep these out of the way so I don't get confused again. And this is going to be a nice, easy one. Just shoot it from underneath. Again, you can see the yellow building up, but it's hard to see. So note to self, I need to get much brighter light source in here to make it easier for me to see what I'm doing. You can see there that the yellow has made it much lighter on the bottom than it is on the top. The top is a lot darker, which is what we want, because the underside of the wings and the abdomens are in general lighter. And as I said, we're going to be putting another layer of orange over these, and that'll be a lighter orange than the one we used for the initial base layer. So we will then have a dark orange in the nooks and crannies, and then on the sort of the more raised areas we'll have a lighter orange, and then on the underside of the wings and the underside of the carapace we will have again a lighter shade. It won't be yellow, because obviously the orange will show through, but it will be a much lighter shade of orange. The one thing that's become, well, there's a few things that's become very clear to me. One is my mixing of the paints on the last session is clearly wrong, because using these paints, the ear paint orange in particular, was a doddle today, and we got great coverage. We got a lot of paint, got a lot of painting done, and we didn't have a single blockage with the orange paint. We did have a little bit of a blockage, but you're going to get blockages anyway, little clogs forming on the tip of the needle, so you will get those anyway. But we didn't really get much, mostly with the orange, with the yellow paint. It was me not understanding how little paint comes through on the different togs of the collar. So yeah, I need to understand how the changing the different settings will change the amount of paint that comes through, and how slowly the paint builds up in layers. So all in all, quite a productive hour or so. It's been very useful, got a lot done. I'm going to do the other orange layer once these dry, and once I've cleaned up the brushes. I'm not going to record that though, and then I'm gonna go on to using a paintbrush to kind of finish off the detail and do the rifles, do the hand grenades that they're holding, that kind of stuff. The heads will be a much brighter color. I want them to stand out, So once they're done, I will take a few shots and upload them. I'm going to be playing these models in about a day and a half, so I need to make sure that I'm focusing on getting them done ready. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you are still here, I'm very grateful. Don't forget to share it with your friends and hit the subscribe button, etc., so I can build up a bit of a following. And again, any thoughts, suggestions, tips, etc., please feel free to leave comments so that I can hopefully learn from you as you guys also learn from me. Thank you very much. This is 40K Painter signing out.